Hello dear learners. First and foremost thing, look at these questions. These are our important PYQs. So now you get an idea. We are not going to waste time. We are coming straight to the point. When it comes to literary magazines, periodicals and journals, you do not have to memorize everything. What you need to do is to understand the chronology logically. Set a clear sequence in your mind. This is the first magazine, that is the second one, and then move forward. Sometimes there are many magazines which are published again and again over a long period of time, and sometimes with different editors. So don't get confused. Use logic, not emotions. So don't blindly follow one option in the exam and do not think the question is wrong, and just think calmly. This can be possible way, okay, and that is how UGC net works, okay. So you have to look another options as well. Welcome to my channel Megha Discourse, and this topic is highly scoring because every year, every time you will get one or two questions from the literary magazine and it is scoring as well, okay. So today we will focus only on magazine's name, key points and the founder name, and that's all. Understand all once, revise smartly, and you are done with it. So let's begin with our first magazine, that is the Review, which was published in 1704, edited by Daniel Defoe. So these are the 3 points which we have to keep in mind. Who was the editor, in which year, and what is the name. So the Review was published in 1704 by Daniel Defoe, and it was the first periodical devoted to a single political viewpoint. So you can say it was the earliest political periodical, and it expressed Daniel Defoe's political ideology, okay. So this is all about our Review. Now the Tatler, which was published in 1709, and it was edited by Richard Steele. As you all know about the pair of Addison and Steele, and it was based on essays, satire and social observation, and he used fictional persona Isaac Bickerstaff, which was the pseudonym of Jonathan Swift. So you can say that beginning of periodical essays tradition came from there, okay, and it was on the model of Spectator. Now the third one, we have the female Tatler. The female Tatler is, you can say it was modeled on the Tatler, and it was early women centered periodical. So just you have to keep it in mind, okay. And now then we have the Spectator, which was published in 1711, and it was published by or edited by Addison and Steele, and it is on daily publication, and they modeled the famous Spectator Club through this magazine, okay. And this is the net favorite, you can say, magazine, and it through the Spectator they published moral essays and middle class values, and it is more refined than the Tatler. So the Tatler comes in 1709 and the Spectator in 1711, okay. So the Tatler and the Spectator. The next we have the Guardian. Guardian comes in 1713, okay, and the Guardian is edited by Richard Steele. You can find many of them was edited by Richard Steele, so it may be a question odd one out, okay. And it is very short-lived magazine and continuation of Tatler and Spectator, okay. So you can say that it is a transitional magazine. The next we have the Examiner in 1710 to 1714, nearly 4 years around, and it was edited by Jonathan Swift, and it is a Tory based, okay. As you have read in your history that there was a fight between Whigs and Tory, and Jonathan Swift was Tory, so it was the Tory magazine, and it is based on satire because Jonathan Swift used to write satires and political as well. So Swift wrote political satire, and it was rival to Whig journals, okay. The next we have the Gentleman magazine, and in the Gentleman magazine we have Edward Cave, who was edited this magazine in 1731, and this magazine is important because first time this term magazine is used by the Gentleman magazine, and Samuel Johnson has contributed in this magazine, okay. So that's why it is very important, okay. Now we have the London magazine, which comes in 1732. Questions chronology comes from this, that Tatler, Spectator, and then London Magazine. Okay, later then they have given Edinburgh Review, Fresher Magazine, Quarterly Review, and so on. So London Magazine comes in 1732. It was edited by John Wilkes, and it is big rival of Gentleman Magazine. As you know that Gentleman Magazine was of Tory and this was of Whig. Okay, so you can have a question on rival pair as well. So examiner can set questions according to their mindset. So Gentleman Magazine and London Magazine, they both are rival magazine, as London Magazine is Whig and Gentleman is of Tory. Okay, so just keep it in mind. Then we have the Female Spectator, comes in 1744 to 46, and it was edited by Eliza Haywood. It was the first magazine written by a woman for a woman. Okay, so you can find this important so far as gender studies question is concerned. Okay, then we have the Monthly Review by Ralph Griffith. Okay, just keep the name in your mind. It was reviewed new books and it was rival to the Critical Review. Okay, then we have the Rambler, important magazine by Samuel Johnson, and it was based on moral essays. Okay, first the Tatler, the Spectator, the London Magazine, and now the Rambler. So these are the 4 important magazines which we have studied now. Now the next one we have the Critical Review, 1756. It was edited by Tobias Smollett, and very important one because it is based on conservative criticism, and it is long running rival of Monthly Review. Look, many magazines are rival of each other because of their different nature, like Tory and Whig. Okay, and this magazine is rival of Monthly Review. And the next we have the Idler. Okay, it was edited by Samuel Johnson. So it is based on informal essays publication. So you can remind, like Samuel Johnson first published Rambler, that is serious, and then Idler, that is lighter, Nithalapan. Okay, now next we have the Bee. In our chronology session we have covered it, that the Bee is edited by Oliver Goldsmith and it was his literary magazine. Okay, so Oliver Goldsmith has an editor in the Bee, that was in 1759. Now the next we have the Watchman, edited by S.T. Coleridge in 1796. It is based on political and philosophical content, and it is very short-lived periodical based on romantic radicalism. Okay, so the Watchman is edited by S.T. Coleridge. Next we have the Edinburgh Review, the important magazine. So it was edited by Francis Jeffrey, who has coined the term Lake Poets, and this is Whig periodical. It was most influential 19th century review magazine. Okay, and it is rivalry to Quarterly Review. Tatler, Spectator, London Magazine, Rambler, Idler, and now we have Edinburgh Review. Okay, later then we have the Examiner. First you have to review the syllabus and then ready for the exam. So Examiner is edited by Leigh Hunt. Originally it was edited by his brother John Hunt, but it was popularized by Leigh Hunt. That's why he was the editor, and he supported romantic poets through this magazine. As you have read that these works were published in the Examiner magazine, most of the kids' works, chalet works. Okay, Leigh Hunt jailed for the criticism because of this magazine. Okay, so the Examiner comes after the Edinburgh Review. Then we have the Quarterly Review. Quarterly Review was edited by John Murray, and he was a Tory, and Edinburgh was Whig. That's why they both are rival to each other. Tory responses to Edinburgh Review, okay, and it give harsh view of Keats and Demyon. That's very important. So Quarterly Review was rival of Edinburgh Review. Now we have the Blackwood Magazine. Blackwood Magazine was edited by William Blackwood, okay, and this is based on conservative ideology, and we have the key contributors like Thomas De Quincey, Charles Lamb, majorly essays for this magazine. Okay, now the next we have Fresher Magazine. Fresher Magazine was edited by William Maginn, okay, and we can find Thomas Cadew, William Thackeray, and J.S. Mill, that is James Stuart Mill, that as a key proponent of this magazine, and it is associated with Victorian writers. You will find the Victorian thought in this magazine. Okay, so first we have London magazine, then Edinburgh Review, then Blackwood magazine, and now Fraser magazine. Okay, next we have Bentley Miscellany, our PYQ, and it was published in 1836 by Richard Bentley. And Dickens, Charles Dickens, serialized his second most famous novel, Oliver Twist, in this magazine. That's why it is very important. So you can say Charles Dickens has contributed in this magazine, but later they both have fight on some other review magazine. And then Richard Bentley was expelled and William Harrison took charge over him. Okay, the next we have Westminster Review 1824, and this magazine was edited by Jeremy Bentham. Okay, this is important one, and it is based on radical and utilitarian mindset. You can say that it was started as a radical and utilitarian response to the conservative Edinburgh Review and Quarterly Review. This is the master of these all magazines. And next we have Household Words. It was edited by Charles Dickens, very important. Okay, and this is based on social reforms theme, because Charles Dickens wrote on social dilemma, and that's why this is important. And after that he has published all on year round. We will study later. Okay, then we have Macmillan's magazine PYQ. It was edited by Alexander Macmillan. The inaugural editor was David Mason. It can be asked. Okay, and it featured fictional as well as non-fictional works. Okay, next we have All the Years Round by Charles Dickens. So first he wrote Household Words and then the All the Year Round. Both are very important and both are edited by Charles Dickens, and this magazine All the Year Round is successor to Household Words. Okay, then we have the Cornhill magazine, and it is edited by William Thackeray. The other proponent of these magazines are Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy, Elizabeth Gessel. Okay, so this is important magazines we have studied, and I hope you are not getting bored. Then we have the Yellow Book by 1894, and it was edited by Henry Harland. Magazine is aesthetic and decadent movement. Okay, that is based on aestheticism, and that's why it is associated with Oscar Wilde, who was the proponent of aesthetic movement. Next we have TLS, the Times Literary Supplement, and it was edited by Bruce Richmond, early editor of this magazine, and it is based on literary criticism of the times. Then we have the Egoist. Egoist is edited by Harriet Shaw Weaver, and it was published by James Joyce and Ezra Pound, and it is based on the modernism. So Egoist magazine is important so far as the Ezra Pound is concerned. Then we have the New Age 1907. The editor is A.R. Orange, who was based, and this is based on modernist and political ideas. Okay, so these are our 30 magazines we have covered now. Then we have the Criterion, edited by T.S. Eliot, another major magazine, and it is based on Europe modernism. Now we have the Little Review. You just keep their name in your mind and their publishing time period. And the Little Review, it was edited by Anderson and Heath, and it serialized Ulysses. That's why it is in our slide. We have the Kenyon Review PYQ. It is edited by John Ransom, and it is based on new criticism. Now the most important, we have Scrutiny, that is F.R. Lewis, Q.D. Lewis and L.C. Knight. The main one is F.R. Lewis. It is based on practical criticism. Okay, and it is rivalry to American criticism and Cambridge criticism. Then we have the Encounter and the Last magazine, which was published in 1953. It is edited by Stephen Splendor and Irving Kistol, the important one, and it is based on Cold War context. Okay, so these are our some important magazines which we have to cover for our syllabus, and it is very short video. And after that, let's have a look on the famous magazines as well, which can be asked in our paper as well. So the first magazine we have the Germ magazine, which was for pre-Raphaelite movement, and it was published in 1850, and it was published by Daisy Rossetti, Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Okay, so the Germ magazine is based on pre-Raphaelite movement or pre-Raphaelite brotherhood, which was happened during 1848. Then we have Tracts for Time, which was the magazine of Oxford movement or Tractarian movement, and the key publisher is John Henry Newman and published in 1843 to 1941. These are very important magazines. Then we have the Dial, and this was Transcendentalist magazine 1840, and it was edited by Margaret Fuller with help of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay, they were Transcendentalist writer. Then we have the Fortnightly Review in 1865, and the magazines covered Victorian thought, Victorian writers, and it was published by Anthony Trollope. Then we have poetry. Poetry is very important. Poetry was published in 1912 and it was published by Harriet Monroe, and it is based on modernism. The Seven Arts. The Seven Arts published in 1916 by James Oppenheim. This is also on high modernism. Okay. Then we have Horizon in 1940 by Cyril Connolly. They last four are based on high modernism, modernism, postmodernism. Then we have Quest, modernism and Indian literature based, Indian modernism based. It was published by Nizam Ezekiel and in 1965. We have more other magazines, but these are important one, and you will easily get idea. So far as your question is concerned, you can easily eliminate wrong answer as well. Okay, so now look at this question. In this question, this is very tricky question. Okay, I was saying that many magazines was published over a period of time with different editor. So this is that type of question. So first we have the London Magazine, Quarterly Review, Spectator, Edinburgh Review. So what we have studied, that first is Tatler, the Spectator, then have a London Magazine. So Spectator should come first, then the London Magazine, that is C, A. Then we have Edinburgh Review, D and B. So this is not our option. And what we think that this is the wrong question. Now the second thinking is that maybe these magazines are re-edited after a long period. So Edinburgh Review comes first, that is D option and B. So D should be and B. So D and B, and later then we have London Magazine. Which should comes first or it should be later? And the Spectator, that if C comes first, then D Edinburgh Review, and then we have Quarterly Review, that is C, D, B. That is option is correct. Then we should have the answer London Magazine. But London Magazine was published before Edinburgh Review. So the right answer according to UGC, we have option C, that is DBAC. First we have Edinburgh Review, then we have Quarterly Review, then we have the London Magazine, which was rediscovered in 1848, but it was published first in 1732. Okay. Then we have the Spectator, which was again republished in 1848. Okay, so this is our option. Not get confused yourself. Okay, just keep your mind calm and focus on the logic. So next we have arranged this in chronological order. First we have Fraser Magazine, Spectator, Westminster, Quarterly Review, Edinburgh Review. So you can see. So you can look that Edinburgh and Quarterly Review are both very important magazine. Okay, so first Edinburgh Review, then we have Quarterly Review, E and D. Okay, and then we have Westminster Review. So E, D and C, and this is option of 3. Now you will say the Spectator should come first because of 1711, but it is not option, but it is not in the option. So B never comes first in all four question in all four options. So it means the Spectator is 1848 edition. So E, D, C, then we have B, Spectator, and then Fraser, because Fraser was a later magazine. Okay, so this is our answer, that is option 3. Question we have, match the following with the editor and the magazine. So the first we have Rambler. Rambler was written by Samuel Johnson. He edited 2. First the Rambler went too serious, and then he Idler too light. Okay, then we have Macmillan Magazine, which was published by Alexander Macmillan, but inaugural editor was David Mason. Then we have the Guardian, which was published by Richard Steele. It was actually the transitional magazine. Then we have Bentley, was edited by Richard Bentley, but he was discharged from the position, and Charles Dickens, he published his Oliver Twist in this magazine. Okay, so you can arrange this in, so you can arrange like this. Okay, so this is all about our literary magazines and journals, and I hope you like this lecture. Now this is the trick time. So the important magazines we have: Edinburgh Review, Quarterly Review, Westminster, Blackwood and Cornhill magazine. So you have to look at this pair exactly. Okay, Spectator and London magazines, they are fake in the sense they have many editions. Okay, so first we have Edinburgh Review. So you have to keep in your mind EQWBC, and before that you can add L, London magazine. So you can remind like lazy elephants quietly watch black cats. That is London magazine 1732 edition, then Edinburgh Review, then Quarterly Review, then W Westminster, B Blackwood, and C is Cornhill magazine. So this is our so this can be our mnemonics to get an idea about 2 or 3 magazines. Okay, so this is all about our today's lecture, and if you look back you will realize the literary magazines are not difficult at all. We did not memorize dates, we understood the sequence, used logic, chronology and pattern, and that is exactly what examiner expects from you. So remember, if you recall just one magazine or one editor, you can easily eliminate options and reach the correct answer. That is why this topic is high scoring. Okay, and now your work is very simple: revise smartly and repeatedly as well. So go through the list once or twice and recall the order in your mind and trust your logic in the paper. So in the paper, do not panic, do not chase one option emotionally. Think calmly and apply what you have learned today. So if this lecture helped you, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to Megha Discourse, and I will see you in the next class with another net focused scoring topic. Bye bye.